Mercedes has done it. They have finally broken Lewis Hamilton. In their latest alleged sabotage, this time in the Canadian Grand Prix, the Silver Arrows ruined the 7-time world champion's confidence. In a rare moment of honest reflection, Lewis Hamilton dubbed his Sunday outing as one of his worst performances in Formula One, saying he needs a sharper mindset in order to drive better results in the future. While his teammate George Russell clinched pole position, Hamilton was left fuming with a P7 grid slot. But the ever-changing wet and dry conditions on race day briefly had Hamilton in the mix for a thrilling victory chase. But as the race approached a dramatic end, Hamilton found himself slipping back, ultimately being overtaken by Russell for the final podium spot. Looking back on this, Hamilton emphasized that the secret to future success lies in quote-unquote, getting my head on right. When Sky F1 mentioned his very flat demeanor after qualifying and asked how he felt post-race, Hamilton said, "Not really much different. It was just over the weekend, a really poor performance from myself. Some other things came into it yesterday, but mostly myself, and today, just one of the worst races that I've driven. Just lots of mistakes. Of course if I'd qualified better, I would have been in a much better position. So it is what it is. I will go back to the drawing board." On the positive note, big thanks to everyone back at the factory for progressing this car, because it is becoming a car we can fight with. That's the real positive going into this next part of the season. I know we have hopefully some more upgrades coming. They're on the way, so it's going to be a close battle. And if I get my head on right, I'll get better results. Hamilton made incredible progress as the race went on, showcasing impressive speed after he and Russell pitted for fresh tires during the final safety car. This set the stage for an electrifying intra-team duel all the way to the checkered flag. In a nail-biting finish, it was Russell who emerged victorious in their tussle on the penultimate lap, knocking the 7-time world champion down to a 4th-place finish. Left to think about what might have been, Hamilton reflected on the potential that a smoother weekend could have had. "It wasn't a positive race for me," he said after stepping out of the car. "It felt like one of my worst drives that I've had. Bits of good speed at some points, but ultimately, a pretty poor weekend for myself. Obviously qualified 7th, put myself back there, then I was stuck behind Fernando for a long time, as you would expect. After that, I lost a lot of ground, then lost another bunch of ground, went off and... Anyway, the positive is that the car is progressing. It's moving forwards. I think if I'd qualified the way I should have, it would have been competing for the win, so that's why it's quite frustrating. On the one side, I'm happy that we are progressing. That's the positive to take out of this weekend. It was a pretty disastrous afternoon yesterday, and then today was pretty shocking. I can't say that I am particularly happy. Today, I could have just driven better, less mistake. I was stuck behind Fernando, so there was nothing I could really do there. Lots of mistakes over the weekend as a whole, but most importantly, I need to take performance and to try to improve. I think this weekend, the car was capable of winning, he admitted. So that's why it's not such a great feeling. But we'll take the points and keep moving, keep trying. As the race entered its final stint, George Russell was armed with medium tires, while Mercedes opted to equip Hamilton with a set of hard tires, even though he made it known that he wanted to drive on mediums as well. This decision added yet another chapter to allegations of internal sabotage at Mercedes. Lewis, of course, had something to say about his latest disagreement with the team. While talking about the tires Russell got, he said, "Yes, he was on the medium tire. It was much faster, so the medium tire was really quick, and then I went to the tire, and the grip was terrible on it. I didn't actually know he was going to a medium tire. Otherwise, I would have stayed out. I have no clue. I do not quite understand what happened. I think maybe he went on the hard before." George Russell confessed that he had every intention to steal the podium finish from Lewis. He was fiercely determined to snatch a top 3 finish from his teammate at the Canadian Grand Prix. Driven by a sense of redemption, Russell felt he had let the team down a bit with earlier mistakes in the race, and was eager to make amends by the checkered flag. A series of mistakes saw George Russell slip to 3rd on race day, trailing behind Verstappen and McLaren's Lando Norris. As the laps wound down at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve, Russell found himself in a fierce battle with his Mercedes teammate. He was determined to secure Mercedes' first podium finish of the season in a thrilling showdown. Speaking after the race, George Russell shared his motivation to secure a podium finish after missing the opportunity to challenge Verstappen for the win. He expressed his respect for Lewis Hamilton, praising their quote-unquote really hard and fair fight for 3rd place. Reflecting on the intense battle, Russell told reporters, I'm disappointed with myself. I made too many errors that set us back and cost us a chance of victory. I was really pushing the limits out there. Definitely those last 3 laps, I was so focused to get back on the podium because I felt like I let the team down a bit, just losing sight of Max and a few mistakes that put me in that position in the first place. And always with Lewis is really hard and fair. When you're racing with one of the greats, you know that you can trust them, and that was really great to see at the end. Toto Wolff has come to George Russell's defense following his costly errors in the Canadian Grand Prix, which led Ralf Schumacher to comment that Russell seemed ready to force his way through the wall. That being said, Wolff did acknowledge that Russell's attempt to pass Piastri was too ambitious. On one side, there was brilliance in the race, and then on the other side, maybe he could have avoided the mistakes, Wolff told Sky F1. I think the pass on Piastri was never on in that corner. As a driver, what makes his overtakes good are that he takes a risk, and he drives very hard, and this one was maybe a bit too ambitious, cost a position, but he regained that afterwards. Toto Wolff admitted that Mercedes briefly entertained hopes of clinching victory in the Canadian Grand Prix, thanks to George Russell's strong start, but he emphasized that the team is still pleased with Russell's podium finish, and cautioned that they shouldn't be too greedy. Asked if he believed a win could have been possible for Russell, Wolff said, "A victory was maybe a long shot or short dream. When George was on the hard tire and was catching up and had really strong pace, maybe for a second we thought about it, but you must not be too greedy." Toto was also asked about the drivers being extra critical on themselves in the Canadian Grand Prix, and the Austrian had this to say: "I think when you finish 3rd and 4th from where we have been coming from, then it's a positive race. 3 and 4 is much better than we had previously in the last few races, so that's good. But I think both drivers saw that more was up for the taking. We could have maybe gained a position or two, and that's why there is a kind of negative sentiment that pervades. But if you would have given them 3rd and 4th before the weekend, we probably would have taken it." With the weekend appearing to mark a potential turning point for Mercedes after a tough start to the season, Toto has hope that the team can sustain this momentum with additional upgrades set to debut at the upcoming Spanish Grand Prix. "I think definitely since Imola, we've taken the right steps and put parts on the car that were working," he said. "That is something that we were struggling with in the past couple of years. We have new parts coming in Barcelona. That should help us, so I would very much hope that we can continue this positive trajectory." What do you think? Is Mercedes treating Lewis Hamilton too harshly since he chose to move to Ferrari? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell for the hottest F1 news.